bro. Hello, Eric.
Bro, how are you?
I'm good, bro. How are you doing?
Super good, bro. Can't complain.
That's cool, man.
You?
But I DM this so that they can join.
Okay. Hey guys, yeah, thanks for joining. I'll just give it a few minutes and then probably wait for people to join until 7:10, and then we'll just get straight into it. Today, obviously, we're a couple of simple concepts in web development. So yeah, looking forward to the session. Thanks for joining. Yeah, we'll start in a bit. Yeah, Richie, just for your text. Yeah, so last week we launched officially our Shield Learn programs in and around digital transformation skills, coding. Super energized, obviously, to be here with you guys. And I think we'll just get straight to it. I want to respect you guys' time because you guys came in early. So yeah, I think we'll just start right now. Yeah, so before I start, maybe you guys can just say hello. Me, probably probably what you expect from the session. Like I mentioned, we're self-piloting this program. So as much as possible, we need you guys' input, what you guys enjoy, what you guys like. what we can improve upon. So maybe you guys can just unmute, say hello, just before we start. Yeah, so maybe Mish can say hello, Richie, Collins.
Hi guys. This being the second meeting, I'm hoping to have an amazing time, just like last time.
Yeah.
Can't wait to get to hear what we're going to be empowered with. And thank you, Eric. I'm excited to hear what you're about to say.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks for joining. Yeah, maybe.
Hello.
Yeah.
I'll go next. Okay. I'm happy to be here too, and like also ready to learn. So let's also give some time for other people to join and see if they'll be able to or not. But yeah, I'm excited to learn. Thank you.
Awesome. Karibu sana. Yeah, so we'll just get straight into it. Maybe Richie, you can say hello. Right, no wahala. So yeah, prepared a few slides for us to review today. Just in and around the introduction to web development. Let me just say as I start that no one has a monopoly on knowledge. No one has a monopoly on knowledge, and definitely there's things that maybe I can learn from you, and there's things also you could learn from me. So as much as possible, let's just get into this with an open mind, and I'm sure we could leverage each other's networks, leverage each other's skills, and get to grow as developers. So Richie, you're saying I should unmute your mic.
Nete earphones. You pause, Jose. Nete earphones.
Right. So yeah, I'll just get straight to it. I'll go ahead and share my screen. I had prepared Kahoot game for you guys. Maybe if we have time towards the end, we could just finish off strong. I remember last week you guys really enjoyed that, and we received a couple of suggestions on probably seeing if we can do more of the same from last week. But I think I'll end with that. So yeah, this is just to welcome you guys to this session, instructed by Eric. Just one thing I would like to highlight is the fact that this would be a crash course. We only have a few hours, like over the month, maybe we have about 4 hours together. So we might not be able to cover every single thing in detail as probably we would have hoped, but essentially what I want us to do is cover the main topics, probably see the main functionalities of our website, and then see the main functionalities of our website and see how we can integrate some of those systems. So yeah, if you'll allow me, I'll just get into my presentation. First thing I would like you guys to have, obviously, for those who maybe are familiar with programming or software development, the concept, or you probably are familiar with IDEs. So the preferred IDE that we would use throughout this short time that we'll be together is Visual Studio Code. You could use it literally to code up and develop all kinds of systems. You could use it for AI with Python. You could use it for Web3, building Web3 products with maybe React Native. You could use it to build simple websites like we're gonna do in using HTML. I don't know if you can see my screen. But yeah, essentially Visual Studio Code, it would be our preferred IDE. So I'll just drop the link in the chat in case maybe one or two of you may not have it installed. If you have it installed, maybe you could drop a 1 in the chat. You can just drop the number 1 in the chat. And yeah, I just want to know how many of us have Visual Studio Code installed, which is definitely a prerequisite for this course. So yeah, the installation process is really simple. You just visit this website. Yeah, thanks, Victor. Richie, like I like that. So two people have responded on the chat. Yeah, Mish has it as well. Awesome stuff. Remember, guys, no one has a monopoly on knowledge. I would like to learn from you as much as you might want to learn from me. Thanks, Collins. So yeah, if you might not have it, that's the link to Visual Studio. Notepad++ is a good IDE. I mean, it's a bit outdated. I think I used it sometime in 2019. Obviously, like these are just tools that you can use to build products with Notepad++ would do the same job that Visual Studio Code would do. However, industry standards would suggest that Visual Studio Code would be a lot better because of some of the extensions it provides for other languages, Rust. It's just better, if I may just put it like that. But yeah, thanks for that question. So if you don't have Visual Studio Code, that's a link to it. And yeah, we're just gonna get into the basics, review what HTML is, what CSS is, and then see how we can actually build out a small feature using HTML and CSS. So as you guys would know, because it seems we're in good company, a lot of you guys probably have experience in programming. Hello, see someone else in the waiting room. Yeah, HTML obviously stands for hypertext markup language, and it's the web. It's a language of the web, and essentially it's used to create web pages. It's a markup language, which means that it uses tags to define the structure of a web page. Tags are enclosed in angle brackets such as H1 and H1 and H1, and the H1 tag defines a heading. Opening H1 tag defines a heading, and closing H1 tag closes the heading. I think this is really straightforward stuff. I would expect most of us have a pretty good understanding of what these tags might refer to. If you don't, of course, feel free maybe to post questions on the channel, on the WhatsApp channel, or even just ask during this session. But yeah, these tags usually form they usually use the combination of different HTML tags, and integrating it with CSS would build you a web page. I think that's pretty clear for everyone. Let's see a question in the chat. Yeah. You can definitely get the slides. Let me just drop them in the link to them. Slides in the chat. It should be open for everyone to at least view. Yeah. Yeah, so anyone with the link can view the file. Awesome. So now let's get into create a HTML document. Really boilerplate stuff. You obviously start with initializing and declaring explicitly that you're working within HTML using this doc type keyword, and then you obviously just get into the meat and potatoes of your HTML code. So you start with HTML tags, opening HTML tag, closing HTML tag, which has a slash. You can input a head section, essentially where you can pass in links to style sheets, which is CSS, as well as JavaScript files. Within your head section, you can speak about your title there, and then your body is what obviously gets displayed in the. It's what gets displayed on your website. So if you'll allow me, maybe we can just practice this. You guys can code along with me. Remember, we don't have that much time together, but so I might move a little bit fast, but obviously the recording would be available. I'll also provide links to these codes. For those who are just joining us, it'll be more like a crash course, just showing you guys essentially how you could build out web pages quickly and easily. So yeah, just covering the fundamentals. So if you'll allow me, I'll open up my VS Code. Yeah, the session is recording. So the session is recording. So you guys should have that. I'll give you guys a recording a bit later. Cool. So yeah, let me open VS Code. I don't know if you can see my VS Code right now, or I should share my whole screen. Can you guys see my VS Code right now? Okay, no. So let me share my entire screen. Thanks for that. Yeah, so let's call index.html, which is usually the default naming convention for HTML files. And like we saw in the slides, let me just go back to the slide. We start with a HTML document, the doc type HTML. So I'll just type that out. So doc type, you guys can code along or listen, whichever you guys is convenient, but it would be nice for you guys, obviously, like to practice this. As much as it might be very simple or hard depending on your level. But yeah, just showing you guys the basics that we can build up on. So start with HTML, open and closing HTML tags. Head section where we can pass in our title. Let's call it very basic web, very basic web page. Yeah, very basic web page, and then we saw we declare our body tags, which essentially are what gets displayed in the head, whatever is in the head section won't really be seen, but anything in the body section within the opening and closing body tags does get seen. So I'll just write down h1 tag and just say this is h1 tag. Maybe for those, maybe for you guys who probably have some experience with programming, could you guys maybe explain to us what you guys understand by H1 tags, paragraph tags, and how they differ? I'll just give you guys like a minute or two. Anyone really who has got any idea on this could just, because I want it to be interactive. If anyone feels like they want to speak, go ahead. Yay, yeah, go ahead.
So I think H1 tags are used for heading. So
Yes.
H1 is heading, and the paragraph tags are used for like separation, like separation of text. So maybe first paragraph, if you want to separate it, second paragraph, you want to separate it. And their font sizes too are different. So H1 font size is different from that of the paragraph.
Awesome. Yeah, spot on, man. Like that's exactly the difference. So yeah, paragraph tags are used to separate like longer sequences of text, and H1 tags obviously again, you sound Ghanaian, man. I don't know if it's from your accent, but yeah, we welcome.
Yeah, I'm a Ghanaian.
Yeah, we welcome you to this session. Yeah. So I won't even explain. I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to mess up that explanation. So yeah, let's say this is a paragraph tag. Then to display it, you can just right click on your index.html, copy the path. You can copy the relative path or the absolute path. I'll just go with the absolute path, which is the first option. And then displaying it is pretty straightforward. I'll just open up a new tab, paste it in the URL, and then voila. We can see in action the difference between H1 and paragraph tags. Let's move on swiftly to our slides. I think that was a pretty straightforward example. So let's talk about CSS a little bit. So yeah, CSS, obviously, like many other things in programming, is an acronym that stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and obviously it's used to style web pages. So essentially, it uses selectors to select the elements that you want to style. Selectors can be used to select elements by their tag name, class, or ID. Tag name refers to the actual HTML tag that you pass. Maybe it's a H2 tag. It could be a paragraph tag. So you could select it using its tag name or a class or an ID. Just like a lot of things in programming. Just like a lot of things in programming, just like a lot of things in programming, we have like hierarchies. So IDs usually take what we call precedence when it comes to selecting HTML tags. So IDs usually are the most, if I may put it like in quotes, they're like the most important selector, followed by classes and then tag names. So let's just see this in practice. Really simple example, just like we highlighted a bit earlier. So we'll create a file, a CSS file. Let's call it style.css. A lot of us are very familiar with this. Let me call it styles.css. And then the tags that we have to style are, in this case, it's only the H1 tag and the paragraph tag. So to style the H1 tag, I think it's a lot. They've made it, I hope I'm not breaking. I hope you guys can hear me clearly. But yeah, to style the H1 tag, we call it within CSS. And then we can declare any CSS property. So in this case, we shall give each one a property of color and just call it font size 24 pixels. And paragraph, we can give it similarly to how we styled the H1 tag. Can just give it the color black. And font size of 12px. Yeah, let's save that. Let's save this and then see how it looks in our code. I'll just refresh this. And yeah, I didn't actually link the two files. So I should go back and do that. So you would link them. Probably, I don't know how would we link them? I just wanna see if you guys are following, but how could we link these two files together? Maybe you guys can assist me with this. Yeah, anyone that could give me any clue on how to, link these two files together? Hagei, go ahead. using a link tag. Okay, Faith says using a link tag. So, yeah, you can go ahead. Faith, I think, had said something in the chat. Maybe you wanted to add on that.
Yeah, that was what I was about to say. And also save them in the same directory.
Sorry?
And also save them in the same directory.
Yeah,
like the same folder.
Okay. Awesome. So yeah, using a link tags usually look something like this: rel style sheet, style and type. Type will be text/css, and then we shall add a href attribute that specifies the URL of the linked resource. The URL should be /styles CSS, and then we close it. And yeah, now we should be able to have our styles applied just like that. Fantastic. Yeah, we're moving very well. We are halfway through our time, so maybe can just go back to our slides and review styling and selectors. So yeah, essentially, like we've demoed, we can use CSS style. You can use CSS to style the element on your web page in a variety of ways. So you can change the color, font size, font family, and many other properties of the element. You can also use CSS to create layouts, images, and do many other things. That's pretty clear. Essentially, we use styling properties, CSS properties, and selectors to actually make and effect changes within HTML documents. And we're going to see this at the end of the class, how we could build out like an actual function on our website, such as like a form. And you guys maybe can clone the repo or review the code, but I want us to do things that actually you could apply on your own product, on your own project. And then also like just, share knowledge, man. Like I mentioned earlier, no one has a monopoly on knowledge. We could all learn something from each other. So yeah, just go on to the next slide. So essentially, like we mentioned, tag selectors. The selectors select elements by their tag name. So for example, the selector H1 selects all H1 elements. That's pretty straightforward, right? Might anyone have a question on the discussion that we've had so far? Anyone, no question? Yeah, okay, cool. So tag selectors, so these selectors select elements by their tag name. For example, the selector H1 selects all H1 elements. Class selectors select elements by their class name. For example, the selector myClass.myClass selects all elements with a class name myClass. And we'll see this practically, the difference between tag selectors, class selectors, and ID selectors. ID selectors select elements by their ID. For example, the selector #my-ID selects the element with the ID, my ID. It sounds like I'm rapping, like just like it sounds like a bar or something, like I'm rapping. But anyway, yeah, let's see how this looks practically. And so, yeah, I'll just go back to my VS Code and create a new file. Let's call it shield.html. Doc type. Like we saw previously, this obviously explicitly tells our program to expect that we're working in a HTML document. HTML, and then head section. Get into our head section. Our head section, and then just highlight title right? So demonstrating, let's call it demonstrating selector properties. Demonstrate. Awesome. And then we'll just go into our body. Like we mentioned, anything within the body tags is what gets displayed within our web page. So I'll just, like we did previously, just define a couple of HTML tags. This first one is going to be this, I'll just say this H1 tag. And then paragraph. And then let's define a div. So could someone maybe someone who has worked with divs, how do you use divs and how practical are they? Like, what do you guys use divs for? Anyone? Yeah, feel free to unmute your mic or just drop it in the chat. Div tags, how are they used, or how do you define? What are they defined as? Yeah, Faith, go ahead.
They like they make divisions of of the content in their web page.
Yeah, precisely. They make divisions, and then you can style specific sections of your website by attaching maybe a CSS, by calling the div's name, and then maybe that would call the specific CSS used to style that div. So yeah, thank you so much for that. Maybe you wanna add on it. Nope. Okay, cool. So I'll just define a div. And then what we'll do here is I'll define a class. Sorry, yeah, Gay. Go ahead.
Okay, so for me, I think div is like, let's say, a page where the paragraphs, so it's a full page that have headings and paragraphs.
Yeah.
So let's say your first page is maybe div 1. It has its paragraph, it has its headings and other things. Yeah, so division is used for a group of sentences.
Division is used for a group of sentences.
That has headings, paragraphs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So you divide content using divs. It's pretty self-explanatory. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. So I'm just gonna attach a few classes and IDs to these HTML elements. And this I'm just gonna define as my class. And then the div, I'm going to pass in an ID of my ID. Awesome. So previously, there's tons of ways you can style web pages. Remember, this is just like literally the most basic things you could do within web development, but it's important to just have a foundational grasp on these concepts, because they literally, like me, I say, actually, for my work, I train engineers. I train a cohort of like 600 engineers spread across Africa. So I really have come to appreciate the value of understanding basics. Like the basics usually like take you from the basic, like literally just doubling down on basics is everything for me. And it's what we want to obviously communicate and also like teach within this Shield ecosystem. So yeah, there's tons of ways you can define styling. You can either do inline styling, which is within your HTML tag. You could do external styling, which is what we did in our previous example, where we defined a external style sheet and we linked it. I think Agie and Faith were so kind and highlighted that you link them using link tags. And the other way we can style our documents, so we've spoken about external styling, inline styling, and what's the other? Could you guys, maybe you can help me with this? What are the 3 ways to style HTML documents? So there's inline styling, external styling. What else? What other form of styling can we use within HTML documents? Yeah, so the other way we can style HTML documents is using internal styling, and that's essentially defined within your header tag. So maybe you guys have used this before, but the definition it's called internal styling. So we can style the h1 tag by just calling the h1 property, and then color, give it a color of blue. Font size, 30px, 30px, and then classes are usually styled using the periods first of all, and then appending the class name. So the class name is my class. Yeah, my class, and then color, we can give it a color of red. And font size, color of maybe 12 pixels. Pixels might be a bit small. And this is the difference, like we highlighted a bit earlier, between classes and IDs. So IDs are called using usually like a hashtag and then the name of the ID. So my ID equals to, give it the same CSS properties. You guys obviously can review in your own time different CSS properties. This is just for this tutorial. I'll save this document and then let's just see how we've been able to style this. So yeah, we've been able to implement internal styling in this HTML doc, and yeah, I think at that we should be nearing the end of our session. It's been a very brief session, but before we end, I want us just to look at a bigger project, a bigger product that we can maybe debunk and demystify. I think there's someone who's joining now. So yeah, essentially, we have this right here. So one of the challenges that I'm going to obviously leave you with, it seems most of us have experience in programming, but I want us to be very intentional about building features that could be used in actual applications. So I've built one such feature. It's a login form. You guys can find it. I'll share a GitHub link, but essentially, this is how it looks. Yeah, so this is how it looks. So once again, like I mentioned, we don't have that much time with you guys. So as much as possible, we want to just make sure we create as much value within this short time. You could maybe learn a bit more about programming, and essentially how you can connect front end, you can connect like interactivity on web pages using JavaScript. But this is a great example of a front end implemented by using HTML and CSS. If you've been following, of course, the LMS, there's a section on forms that is for week 1. So I just went a step further and built this out. I'll provide obviously the source code for this. It looks pretty decent. You guys can use it within your projects. But yeah, I don't know, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, please. We can see your screen.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll provide the code for this. But you guys can go ahead, maybe. Do I have it? Have I uploaded it here yet? Yeah. So you guys, I'll just drop the link in the group. But yeah, this is, if you guys have resources that maybe we can leverage, go ahead. But yeah, we've just here, like we mentioned, so we start with obviously our doc type HTML. We define our opening HTML tag. We have our header section. We have called our style sheet, which is right here. We're also leveraging some Google API fonts, which we've linked to our webpage. Some fonts, some fonts here, and then just giving it a title of login form. We've then defined a header, given and created a logo, just a shield logo, and then implemented a navbar, which is this one right here, home, products, about us, contact, login. I think this is fairly familiar for most of us. I don't know, can you guys see my VS Code? I'm just okay, I hope, can you guys see my VS Code now?
No, please.
No, still on the field.
Right. Cool. Now I've shared my entire screen. Yeah, so like I mentioned, we've started obviously with our doc type HTML, defining that explicitly that this is a HTML document. Linked our style sheet in styles.css. We've also linked a few Google API fonts, giving it a title of login form, defined a header, given it a logo. Like we've mentioned, we've touched a bit on classes. href, which references or links different pages to each other. We defined a navbar. And then here, this is where all the fun begins within our div classes. Like you guys said, like Agie Faith said, like divs are obviously used to divide our page into smaller components, which we can edit. And if you notice, like some of these classes that we are using, like login left, let's look at login left, get into a CSS. So maybe I can just do a Control F, login left, and yeah. So this code right here is what's being used to style. Wait a second. Yeah, is what's being used to style this div section. So yeah, like I mentioned a bit earlier, let's like double down on our basics, and then obviously build from there. We've also created a form. You guys should review the form section within the LMS. In it, we have obviously like passed in a few more class elements. We have labels for our email. We've got input types, which actually create the form sections to pass in our emails, functionality, and just the same thing we've done here for our password, as well as a button to remember me in case you're not logged in, you've forgotten your password, or you don't want to like remember, like I think, yeah, like you don't want to keep on putting in your password. You find a login button, a Facebook button, a login with Facebook button, a login with Google button. So yeah, right now we're only focusing on front end, how to actually build front ends for mobile, I mean for web apps. But yeah, as we progress, we're going to look into how to actually like get logged in as a user, as like a normal user. But yeah, this is just a start. We have 10 minutes left. I don't know if you guys might have any questions. But I'd promised that we would play a Kahoot game. I don't know if you guys are down for that. If you guys are down for that, drop a 2 in the chat. But in the meantime, just there might not be a giveaway this week. Just giving you guys a disclaimer. But someone here had requested we do that. Had requested me that we do that. So yeah, any questions that you guys might have, we could, so that like we can just close this session. It's been very brief. I think we have discussed the basics, the fundamentals of web development. Might be rushed, might be like sort of feeling like a crash course, but 90% of your journey as a developer would entail you guys are actually like teaching yourself. So yeah, if we get like 5 2s in the chat, we'll play the Kahoot game. If not, I think I'll just open the floor to any questions. We could leave early, but yeah, that's what I had prepared for you guys. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have any questions that you might have. Okay, so Richie, James, Agie, those are 3.
Please, the link to your code.
The link to the code, yeah, definitely. I'll definitely send it. I just need to upload it to GitHub. So if are you on the group? I think I'll drop it in the chat. Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks so much, Victor. Appreciate that. Yeah, more. There's more where that's come from. But yeah, you said you have to go. No worries, no worries. We'll talk soon. We will talk soon. Right, cool. James, I don't know if you have anything you want to say. I can see we only have 3 responses. So that's below the threshold, the 50% plus 1 threshold. Yeah, I don't know if James has something to say. Agie, Collins, Faith, Galuru, Mish, Richie. Might you guys have any comments?
I have a comment.
Okay.
Mine's been on the official page. Like I was trying to join and they told me this class is full. So Collins told me that he will talk to you so that you open it up for me or something. So I was asking like how far with that?
No, it's you should be able to log in right now. You should be able to get onboarded onto our platform as we speak. I sorted that last night. So definitely just visit the link shieldintl.org/academy and enroll into any one of the programs. Yeah, you should be able to get in. But yeah, if you have any other challenge.
Thank you. I'll do it after the session. I think that's it.
Cool. If we have no other comments, I think we can leave at our pleasure. Yeah, thanks, Kaduru. Thanks, Mish. Thanks for joining. Yeah, see you guys soon. See you guys next week. Bye-bye. Yeah, and definitely refer your friends. Like we mentioned, we're piloting this program amongst our close friends. But we intend to obviously do a much bigger launch once we get fully notarized with the NGO coordination board, which should be within the next few weeks. So yeah, there's definitely tons of like opportunities within Shield, even for like internships and even just like growing your knowledge. But yeah, we do appreciate any feedback, any comments that you guys might have in and around the LMS, or just how we can make it better. But yeah, so yeah, feel free to refer your friends. But yeah, seems we have exhausted today's agenda. So we'll talk next week. See you guys.